There's one simple financial mindset that I changed in myself when somebody pointed out to me that massively increased my revenue in my company. And it's something that you can do too in your landscaping company. And it's going to make a huge difference. And I'm super excited to share that with you today on the show. I'm Gabe Arnold, and this is the Green Mountain Podcast. We are the champions who brave the elements to create beauty. We see chaos and create order. We are never afraid of hard work, and we understand the power of strategic thinking and intentional actions. We come from all walks of life, and we will never allow our past to determine our future potential. We create beauty around the homes of our customers and increase the value of our community with the work that we do every day. We understand the power of consistent branding because it helps us grow and serve all those around us. We practice effective sales so our company, employees, and community can benefit from the value we add. We intentionally invest in operational habits that help us deliver excellent results to our customers on a continual basis. We understand that powerful and beautiful things take time to grow, and with consistent watering and intention, amazing results can happen. We are committed to making the world a better place by being positive examples to all those around us. We don't allow anyone to look down on us because we know the value we bring to our community as leaders. We create positive workplaces for our employees so they feel safe and supported, and at the same time, we hold ourselves to high standards. We pursue excellence on a daily basis because we know the journey is worth the sacrifice. We are the protectors of the land. We are the guardians of beauty. We are the heroes. We are landscapers. When I was a kid, there was a book that I read called The Giving Tree, and you may have read it, but if not, I'll give you the synopsis here, and I'm going to share with you a different ending of what I think should have happened in that book. But The Giving Tree starts out, and there's this little boy, and he's playing outside in the yard, and he finds this tree, and it's an apple tree. And so he climbs in it, he plays in it, he picks the apples and eats them, and he really enjoys it. And as the book progresses, the boy grows up into a teenager and a young man. And every time he comes back to the tree, he takes something from it. He takes the branches, or he carves something in it. When he has a girlfriend, he carves some and his girlfriend's name in it. And then one day he's like, oh, I really need to build, a fort. So he cut all the branches off and he built a fort. And then another day he comes back and he's like, well, I really could use a boat. So I'm going to cut the tree down and build a boat. And then years later, he comes back and he sits on the stump and he's talking to the tree and he's like, man, there's nothing left and I'm alone. And that story reminds me of how if we're always in the mode of taking, or we're solely focused on how can I get the maximum dollars out of my customers, my employees, like how can I just take everything possible and max out everything I get from this, then you miss out on this huge opportunity to serve your customers and to create value. I think about that book today, and I think, what would it have been like if the little boy played on the tree, which there's nothing wrong with that, and then he ate some of the apples and he didn't take them all off. And instead of, eating them all, he let some fall to the ground, and the seeds, were able to grow and create other trees. And then he intentionally took some of the fruit of that and built more trees. And then, he did have enough. He had a huge, orchard of apple trees. And he was able to build the things he wanted and build his boat, and he was able to bring his family back there. And it just became this ever growing, ever producing orchard, instead of him just figuring out how can I take the most away from this tree. And when I think about that, it reminds me of growing a landscaping company, because if we're focused on how much can I take out of it, how can I get the most out of this customer? How can I get my employees to work the hardest and not pay them very, very much? When we go with that thinking, we're in a taking, extractive mindset. But it actually hurts us in the long run, because everybody knows that's what we're all about. And the intention of our heart and the energy with which we show up to our relationships has a massive impact on the long term. So I was like that for a lot of years, and it's why I struggled in my early businesses, and it's why I didn't have good relationships with my employees. It's why I struggled in personal relationships too. But one day as I was listening to one of my business mentors that kept reminding me that I should always go 100% of the way, and I should always provide value, and I should always serve at the highest level. It finally clicked for me, and I realized that if I start thinking long term and start thinking about how can I serve my customers, be profitable, how can I take amazing care of my employees, when I switch that mindset of how can I just serve at the highest level while being responsible and profitable and making decisions that are, best practices for my business, as soon as I switched that mindset, my business grew exponentially. It actually doubled in 18 months the first time I realized that I was just thinking about things the wrong way. And so my encouragement to you today is, how are you showing up and how are you thinking about how to serve your customers? Because value comes from inside of us. Value comes from the ideas that we implement and execute on. Value comes from us showing up and being productive and giving great results. And if we focus on value first, like how can we expand this value? Like back to my story about the giving tree, like what would it have been like if the little boy became a teenager and then a man and said, man, how can I expand the value of this relationship I have with this tree? He would have had an orchard and been wealthy beyond all get out, and he would have had a place to bring his friends and his family. Then it could have been something really positive and beneficial. And again, thinking about our companies in that way, if we think about first, how can I serve at the highest level? How can I show up and give value? That's when we actually see our businesses grow. Because if you are extractive and you're just trying to take all you can, and you're just, if you lean too far that way, then what happens is you end up hurting your customer. You end up hurting your employees. You don't have long-term relationships, and you're trying to continually get new customers, continually get new employees. And it's so easy to fall in that mindset. I did it for so many years. I fell into that mindset because I thought, man, this is just dog eat dog. There's somebody out there trying to steal my customers. My employees are probably going to steal from me. I just had a really negative mindset. And when we start to imagine and be creative in a negative way, those things come to us. We create negativity. But when we start to think about how can I serve at the highest level, how can I create a ton of value, then what happens when we start to think long-term about our business and our customers and our employees, then we're actually serving everyone involved. Because if we're thinking long-term, then we're going to focus on being profitable. Because if we're profitable this year, it means we can come back next year and serve our customer again and create great value. If we think about how can I create a great customer experience, then customers are going to say, man, I love working with these guys. They do such a great job. I'm going to tell my neighbors about them and my friends, so they should use them too. Because referrals and word of mouth is such a huge part of how we grow a very successful $10 million a year landscaping company. One of our biggest clients that is building and almost, crossing now that $10 million mark with their landscaping company, about 50 to 60% of their business comes from referrals, because they show up and say, how can we provide value? How can we serve you? And that's when you come from that approach of how can I create the most value, it actually helps you stand firm in your pricing and your value. You learn proper estimation. You start thinking for the long term about how do we stay healthy as a company so that we can serve this customer for the next decade or 2 decades. And we start to think in a way that helps us think long term of what is the positive win-win for everybody here. Because yes, we need to be paid and compensated for our work. And yes, if we show up and find the ways to create more value than our competitors, then our customers are going to stick with us and they're going to bring new customers to us. And so this mindset of thinking that everybody's out to get you, or thinking that you just have to take all you can, or there's somebody that's going to screw you. Well, yes, those things do happen. We can't allow our focus to be only there or even the majority there, because when we think about those things, we attract them. That's a law of the universe in my experience. And I've talked to so many successful entrepreneurs and landscape business owners, and just in general in the home services space. When you think that way negatively, you attract the wrong things. But when you think positively, it actually opens up your mind physically, chemically, and inside your mind. When you think positively, you start to see opportunities to serve and create value. And that's where your business starts to grow. So wherever you've been at on the spectrum, I know, like I said, I had a really poor mindset in the beginning. and I grew over time. But wherever you are on the spectrum of thinking, man, things are really negative and I have to watch out and people are going to, hurt me and I just need to take what I can. Or if you're even in the middle or a little bit more towards the positive thinking of, I can provide value. I want to encourage you today to just keep moving towards that mindset of how do I serve at the highest level? How do I create amazing value? And in creating amazing value, how do I be profitable and build this business for the long term? Because that's actually how we can serve customers at the highest level, by being the healthiest, stable, most profitable landscaping company out there. That's how we serve our customers, because we get to be with them now, next year, and for many years to come, and serve them and take great care of them. So I just want to encourage you to be open to that today and just consider, how can I improve my mindset? How can I start thinking about things I'm grateful for? How can I just ask myself, how can I provide a little more value today while remaining profitable on these jobs that I'm on? Because that is how you're going to attract customers that are with you for life. So I appreciate you taking time to tune in today. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show. If you're ready to begin your journey up the Green Mountain, where we show you how to build a low-stress, high-profit, $10 million per year landscaping company, then head over to landscapemarketinghero.com to download your free growth map. One of our guides will be there to help you along the way. Again, that's landscapemarketinghero.com.